should have thrown my phone across the room when it buzzed at 2:47 in the morning. Instead, I grabbed it off my nightstand and squinted at the screen. My boss, Victoria Kane, had sent me a message. Nobody texts their employee at this hour unless something terrible has happened or they're about to fire you. My stomach felt tight as I opened it. The photo loaded slowly. Victoria was sitting close to a man at what looked like an expensive restaurant. Candles on the table. Wine glasses. His arm around her shoulder. I recognized him right away. Marcus Reed from Pinnacle Investments. The same client Victoria had taken away from me 2 weeks ago without telling me why. Below the photo were 4 words that made my heart pound. Look what you missed. I stared at my phone, trying to make sense of it. Victoria wouldn't send this to me on purpose. No way. She must have clicked my name by mistake. Maybe she meant to send it to Ryan Collins. Ryan was the other person at our company fighting for the same job I wanted. He'd been acting weird lately, like he knew something I didn't. Let me back up and tell you who I am. My name is Jordan Hayes. I'm 34 years old and I work at Kane Consulting Group in Boston. It's a big company that helps other businesses solve their problems. I've been working there for 6 years. 6 years of coming in early and leaving late. 6 years of missing birthdays and holidays. 6 years of choosing work over everything else in my life. Victoria had been telling me for months that I was going to get promoted soon. She'd say things like, "Keep doing what you're doing, Jordan, and you'll be running this place someday." I believed every word. Why wouldn't I? My clients loved working with me. I never missed deadlines. I brought in more money for the company than anyone else on my team. But then, about 5 weeks ago, things started to feel wrong. Victoria began taking my projects and giving them to other people. She wouldn't tell me why. When I walked past her office, she would close the door like she was hiding something. She started criticizing my work in ways she never had before. She'd say my reports needed more details or that I wasn't talking to clients enough. None of it made sense because the clients kept telling me they were happy with my work. The biggest shock came 2 weeks ago. Victoria called me into her office and told me I was being removed from the Pinnacle Investments account. That was my best client. I've been working with Marcus Reed for almost 3 years. His company trusted me with their most important business decisions. When I asked Victoria why she was taking me off the account, she just said, "We're making some changes. Ryan will handle it from now on." I was confused. I was angry, but I didn't argue with her. You don't argue with your boss if you want to keep your job and get promoted. So I smiled and said, "Okay, whatever you think is best." Then I went back to my desk and wondered what I had done wrong. Now, looking at this photo on my phone in the middle of the night, everything made sense. The closed-door meetings. The sudden account change. The cold way Victoria had been treating me. She was dating Marcus Reed. That's why she took me off his account. She wanted to work with him herself. Or maybe she wanted Ryan to handle it because Ryan knew about them and I didn't. My brain was racing. This wasn't just unprofessional. This was a huge problem. Pinnacle Investments has strict rules about dating people who work for them. It's written right in our contract with them. If anyone found out about Victoria and Marcus, they would fire our company immediately. We'd lose millions of dollars. Victoria would lose everything she'd built. I looked at the message again. Look what you missed. What did that even mean? Was she showing off to someone? Was this some kind of competition between her and Ryan? Or between her and me? The smart thing to do would be to delete this message. Pretend I never saw it. Act like nothing happened. Keep my head down and hope Victoria doesn't realize she sent this to the wrong person. But I couldn't do that. I'd worked too hard. I'd given up too much. I'd followed all the rules while Victoria was breaking them. And now she was going to take away my promotion because I accidentally saw something I wasn't supposed to see. My fingers started typing before I could stop them. For simple words. This explains everything. I hit send. The message showed delivered underneath it. I turned off my phone and put it face down on my nightstand. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold it. What had I just done? Did I really just respond to my boss's private message? The boss who controls whether I keep my job or lose it. The boss who could fire me tomorrow if she wanted to? I lay back down in bed and stared at the ceiling. My bedroom was dark except for the streetlight coming through the window. Sleep wasn't going to happen. My mind kept playing different scenarios. Maybe Victoria would respect that I was honest with her. Maybe she'd explain everything and we'd figure it out like adults. But deep down, I knew that wasn't going to happen. I just crossed a line. I told her I knew about her secret. And people like Victoria Kane don't like it when employees know too much. They especially don't like it when employees talk about it. I picked up my phone and turned it back on. The screen lit up my face. 5 missed calls from Victoria. 5 calls in the 12 minutes since I sent that message. There were also 3 text messages. The first one said, "Jordan, call me now." The second one said, "We need to talk." The third one made my stomach drop. "My office. 7:30 a.m. sharp. Don't be late." I looked at the clock. It was 3:15 in the morning. I had about 4 hours before I had to face whatever was coming. 4 hours to figure out what I was going to say. 4 hours to decide if I just made the biggest mistake of my life. I got out of bed because lying there wasn't helping. I walked to my kitchen and made coffee even though I knew it would make my nerves worse. I sat at my small kitchen table and watched the city start to wake up through my window. People were sleeping in their apartments. They had no idea their day was going to be normal. Mine wasn't going to be normal ever again. The hot shower didn't help. I stood under the water for 20 minutes, trying to wash away the fear, but it stuck to me like glue. I got dressed in my best suit, charcoal gray, the one I wore when I had to impress important clients. If I was going to lose my job today, at least I'd look professional. My tie took 4 tries to get right because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I kept dropping it. Finally, I got it tied and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked tired, scared, like someone who'd made a terrible mistake and knew it. The drive to the office felt strange. Traffic was light because it was so early. I kept thinking about what I should say to Victoria. Should I apologize? Should I tell her the truth about how I felt? Should I pretend the whole thing was just a misunderstanding? Every option seemed wrong. I parked in my usual spot in the garage. Level 3, space 47. I'd parked there almost every day for 6 years. The elevator ride up to the office felt longer than normal. My reflection in the shiny elevator doors looked pale. When the doors opened on the 15th floor, I stepped into the lobby of Kane Consulting Group. Everything looked normal. The furniture was in the same place. The company logo on the wall looked the same as always. But something felt different. Michelle, the receptionist, was at her desk. She's usually really friendly. Every morning she says, "Good morning, Jordan," with a big smile. But today, when I walked past her desk, she didn't say anything. She didn't even look up at me. Her eyes stayed on her computer screen like I wasn't even there. That's when I knew this was going to be bad. I walked through the main office area. Other people were already at their desks even though it was barely 7:30 in the morning. That's how it works at companies like ours. Everyone tries to get there first to show how hard they work. Ryan was sitting at his desk near the window. When he saw me walking by, he smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that says, "I know something you don't know." The kind of smile that says, "I'm winning and you're losing." I walked to Victoria's office at the end of the hall. Her door was closed. I knocked 3 times. "Come in," her voice called out from inside. I opened the door and my heart sank. Victoria wasn't alone. Diane Chen, our HR director, was sitting in one of the chairs across from Victoria's desk. Diane had a folder in her lap and a serious look on her face. HR only shows up to meetings when someone is getting fired. I'd seen it happen before to other people. Now it was happening to me. "Jordan, sit down," Victoria said. Her voice was calm. Too calm, like she'd been practicing what she was going to say. I sat in the empty chair next to Diane. Victoria was behind her big desk with her hands folded in front of her. She looked perfect like always. Her hair was pulled back. Her makeup was just right. You would never know she'd been up at 2:47 in the morning sending photos to people. "We need to discuss your performance," Victoria began. She said it like she was reading from a script. like this was just another regular meeting. I decided to be direct. Is this about the photo you sent me? Diane shifted in her seat. She looked uncomfortable. Victoria's face didn't change at all. What photo? Victoria asked. I couldn't believe she was going to pretend it didn't happen. The photo you sent me at 2:47 this morning, I said. You and Marcus Reed. Victoria's eyes got hard. She turned to Diane instead of looking at me. Jordan has been struggling with his workload lately. There have been complaints about the quality of his work. That's not true, I said. My voice came out louder than I meant it to. I've never missed a deadline. My clients are happy with my work. You know that. Victoria opened the folder on her desk. I have documentation here of several problems. Missed meetings. Poor communication with clients. Mistakes in your reports. What documentation? Show me. I knew she was lying. She had to be lying. Victoria kept going like I hadn't said anything. We've decided to end your employment starting today. The words hit me like a punch. End your employment. Fired. Gone. Just like that. This is retaliation, I said. I looked at Diane. This is illegal. I have proof of what she did. Diane spoke for the first time. Jordan, I understand you're upset, but making false claims won't help you. False claims. I pulled out my phone. I can show you the exact message she sent me. Victoria's voice stayed calm. Jordan, if you keep making these accusations, we'll have no choice but to take legal action against you for lying about me. I looked back and forth between them. This was planned. They'd prepared for this. Victoria must have spent the hours between 2:47 and 7:30 getting her story ready with Diane. They were going to make me look like the problem. Like I was just an angry employee making up stories about his boss. I'm not signing anything, I said. Diane pulled a document from her folder. This is your separation agreement. You'll get 2 weeks of pay. In return, you agree not to say anything negative about the company or Ms. Kane. 2 weeks. I'd worked here for 6 years. 6 years of my life. And they were offering me 2 weeks of pay. That's what we're offering, Victoria said. Take it or leave it. I stood up. My legs felt weird, like they weren't working right. I'm leaving it. And I'm getting my own lawyer. Victoria smiled. The same kind of smile Ryan had given me earlier. That's your choice. Diane, please walk Jordan to his desk so he can get his things. Diane stood up too. She wouldn't look me in the eye. This way, Jordan. I followed her out of Victoria's office. Everyone in the office was staring now. They weren't even pretending to work. The news had already spread somehow. Someone must have told everyone what was happening. At my desk, I started putting things in a cardboard box that Diane handed me. My coffee mug, the plant my mom gave me when I got this job, a picture of me and my college friends. Everything I'd collected over 6 years fit into one small box. Ryan walked past my desk. He didn't say anything, but he was smiling even bigger now. I realized he must have been part of this the whole time. Maybe he even helped Victoria plan to fire me. With me gone, he'd get the promotion I'd been working toward. 2 security guards appeared next to my desk. I recognized them. Paul and Marcus. Different Marcus, not the one from the photo. We talked about basketball in the elevator dozens of times. Now they were here to walk me out like I was a criminal. Come on, Jordan, Paul said quietly. Let's make this easy. I picked up my box and walked through the office. Past the conference rooms where I'd given presentations. Past the break room where I'd eaten lunch at my desk more times than I could count. Past Michelle's desk at the front where she still wouldn't look at me. The elevator doors closed. Paul and Marcus rode down with me, not saying anything. When we got to the parking garage, they walked me to my car and waited while I put my box in the back seat. Sorry, man, Marcus said. Just doing our job. I got in my car. They stood there watching me, making sure I actually left. I started the engine and drove out of the garage, into the bright sunshine, into unemployment, into whatever came next. My phone rang. A number I didn't know. I answered it anyway. Is this Jordan Hayes? A man asked. Yes. This is Kevin from building security. Miss Kane asked me to tell you that your keycard has been turned off. Don't try to come back to the building." He hung up before I could say anything. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drive back to that office and tell everyone what Victoria had done. But I just kept driving home because what else could I do? For weeks had passed and I was eating cereal for dinner again. Not because I liked it, because it was cheap and I was running out of money fast. My apartment felt smaller every day, like the walls were closing in on me. I'd sent out 47 job applications. 47. I knew the exact number because I kept a list on my laptop. Every single one came back with the same answer. "Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates." Some companies didn't even bother to respond. My landlord had left 2 voicemails about next month's rent. I hadn't called him back yet because I didn't know what to say. My bank account had $1,847 left in it. Rent was $2,200. The math didn't work. My best friend Tyler kept texting me, asking if I needed money. I kept telling him no. Pride is a funny thing. Keeps you from asking for help even when you're drowning. I was sitting on my couch, staring at another rejection email, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Most unknown numbers were spam calls trying to sell me something I couldn't afford. But something made me pick up. Jordan Hayes. A woman's voice. Professional. Crisp. "Yes, this is Jordan. My name is Elena. I'm calling from Pinnacle Investments. Mr. Reed would like to speak with you. Can you hold for a moment?" My heart stopped. Pinnacle Investments. The company from the photo. The client Victoria had taken away from me. Why were they calling? Did they want to yell at me? Blame me for something? Before I could think about hanging up, a man's voice came on the line. Deep, confident. "Mr. Hayes, this is Marcus Reed. Are you available to meet tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock? My office downtown." I looked around my apartment, at the pile of bills on my coffee table, at the empty cereal bowl, at my life falling apart. "Yes," I said. "I'll be there." "Excellent. See you then." He hung up. I sat there holding my phone, trying to figure out what just happened. Marcus Reed wanted to see me. The same Marcus Reed who was dating my old boss. The same client whose account I'd lost. This had to be bad news. Maybe they were going to sue me. Maybe Victoria had told them I'd done something wrong. Tyler came over that night with pizza. He took one look at me and shook his head. "You look awful, man," he said, setting the pizza box on my counter. "Thanks for the support," I said. "I'm serious. When's the last time you ate real food?" Couldn't remember. He opened the pizza box and the smell made my stomach growl so loud we both heard it. "So this meeting tomorrow," Tyler said, taking a bite. "What do you think it's about?" "I have no idea. Could be anything. Could be something good," he said. I wanted to believe him, but hope felt dangerous. Every time I'd hoped for something in the past month, it had blown up in my face. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the things Marcus Reed might say to me, all the ways this meeting could go wrong. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up and ironed my charcoal suit again, the same one I'd worn when I got fired. It was the only good suit I owned. By 8:15 the next morning, I was already downtown. The Pinnacle Investments building was all glass and steel. Huge. The kind of building that made you feel small just looking at it. I stood outside for a few minutes trying to calm my nerves. Inside, the lobby was massive. Marble floors, high ceilings, a security desk with 3 guards. I walked up and gave them my name. Jordan Hayes. "I have a meeting with Marcus Reed." One of the guards checked his computer, then handed me a visitor badge. "Top floor. Elevator on your right." The elevator ride felt like it took forever. I watched the numbers climb. 10, 15, 20, 25. Finally, 30. The top floor. The doors opened into a reception area that was nicer than my entire apartment. A woman at the desk smiled at me. "Mr. Hayes? Mr. Reed is expecting you. Conference room B, right through those doors." I walked through the doors into a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows. The view was incredible. You could see all of Boston spread out below. The harbor, the buildings, everything. Then Marcus Reed walked in. He was tall, probably in his mid-50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He wore an expensive suit that probably cost more than I made in a month back when I had a job. "Mr. Hayes," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "Thank you for coming." "Of course, sir." He gestured for me to sit, then sat across from me instead of at the head of the table. That surprised me. Important people usually sit at the head to show they're in charge. "I'll get straight to the point," Marcus said. "We've ended our relationship with Kane Consulting Group." I nodded, not sure what to say. The situation with Ms. Kane was completely unacceptable. We have strict policies about personal relationships with our business partners. When we found out, we terminated the contract immediately. My mouth felt dry. "I understand." Marcus pulled a folder from his briefcase and slid it across the table to me. "But that's not why you're here." I opened the folder. Inside were printouts of emails, client reviews, project reports. All from my time working on the Pinnacle account. All positive. Comments from Marcus's team praising my work, thanking me for quick responses, saying how much they trusted my advice. "Your work on our account was outstanding," Marcus said. "When Ms. Kane suddenly removed you from our case, our entire team noticed the difference. Response times got slower. Quality dropped. We started asking questions about what happened." I stared at the papers in front of me. Real proof that I'd been good at my job. That I hadn't been the problem. "We're bringing our consulting work in-house," Marcus continued. "We want to build our own team instead of hiring outside companies. We need someone who understands our business. Someone with integrity. Someone who won't compromise our values for personal reasons." He paused and looked right at me. "We'd like to offer you the position of Director of Strategic Initiatives." I blinked. Director. The word didn't make sense. I'd been unemployed for 4 weeks, eating cereal for dinner, avoiding my landlord. Now one of Boston's biggest investment companies wanted to hire me for a director position. "The salary is on page 3, Marcus said, watching my face. I flipped to page 3. The number there made me forget how to breathe. It was $185,000 a year. Almost 3 times what Kane Consulting Group had paid me. 3 times. "We also offer full benefits," Marcus added. "Health insurance, retirement matching, and we actually believe people should have time for their lives outside of work. I built this company on the principle that you can be successful and ethical at the same time." My hands were shaking. I tried to hide it by holding the folder tighter. "Mr. Reed, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it," he smiled slightly. "Take the weekend. Look over the contract." "But Jordan, I want you to know something." He leaned forward. "What you did, standing up to Victoria Kane, that took real courage. You lost your job for doing the right thing. That's exactly the kind of person I want on my team." I left that building and called Tyler before I even got to my car. My hands were still shaking from the meeting. "He offered me a job," I said when Tyler picked up. "A real job. Director level." Tyler screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "I told you it could be good news. When do you start?" "I haven't said yes yet." "Are you crazy? Say yes right now." But I didn't call Marcus back that day. Instead, I went home and read through every page of the contract. Every single word. I wanted to make sure it was real. That this wasn't some trick or dream I'd wake up from. It was real. The salary was real. The benefits were real. The job description was exactly what I'd been working toward for years. On Monday morning, I called Marcus Reed's office. "I accept," I told him. "I'm honored to join Pinnacle Investments." "Outstanding," Marcus said. I could hear him smiling through the phone. "Welcome to the team, Jordan. See you next Monday." My first day at Pinnacle felt weird in a good way. I kept waiting for someone to tell me there had been a mistake, that the offer wasn't real. But nobody said that. Instead, Elena from HR spent the whole morning showing me around, introducing me to my team, explaining how everything worked. My office had windows, real windows with a view of the harbor. I had my own desk that was bigger than my kitchen table at home. There was even a coffee maker in the break room that made actual good coffee, not the burnt stuff we had at Kane. The team I'd be leading was smaller than what I'd managed before, but everyone seemed happy to be there. Nobody looked exhausted or scared. During our first meeting, they asked me questions about how I wanted to run things. They actually cared what I thought. 3 months went by fast. I fell into a routine. Coffee at 7 o'clock. Team meeting at 8 o'clock. Client work until lunch. Planning in the afternoon. Marcus checked in with me regularly, but he didn't watch over my shoulder like Victoria had. He trusted me to do my job. Then one Tuesday my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize, but I answered anyway. Jordan Hayes. Yes, this is Jordan. This is Robert Chen. I'm the lawyer handling your case against Kane Consulting Group. I'd almost forgotten about the lawsuit. After getting the new job, it had seemed less important. I have news, Robert said. Kane Consulting Group wants to settle. They're offering a substantial amount of money to make this go away quietly. How much? He told me the number. It was enough to pay off my student loans completely. Enough to buy a car that actually worked properly. Enough to stop worrying about money for the first time in my adult life. What do you think I should do? I asked. We could push for more if we go to court, Robert said. But trials take time and cost money, and you never know what will happen. This is a good offer. I'll take it, I said. But I want one more thing. I want them to write down that firing me was wrong and that my work was good. Robert laughed. That's going to make them uncomfortable. Good. A week later, the settlement was done. The money showed up in my bank account on a Friday afternoon. I stared at my phone, looking at the numbers. It represented more than just money. It was proof that I'd been right, that Victoria had been wrong. Word spread fast in Boston's business world. Kane Consulting Group was losing clients left and right. I heard through friends that Victoria had quit and left the city. Ryan, the guy who'd smiled when I got fired, couldn't find a new job anywhere. Nobody wanted to hire someone known for stabbing their coworkers in the back. A few months later, Ryan called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Jordan, he said. His voice sounded different, smaller. I know I don't deserve this, but I'm calling to apologize. I didn't say anything. I just listened. I knew what Victoria was doing was wrong, Ryan continued. I knew about her and Marcus Reed. I should have said something, but I thought it would help me get ahead. I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
You helped her fire me, I said. I know, and I can't take that back. But I'm asking anyway. I have an interview at Henderson Consulting next week. I know you did some work for them last quarter. I was hoping maybe you could put in a good word for me. I thought about all the times Ryan had made my life difficult. All the credit he'd stolen. All the projects he'd tried to take from me. The old me would have said no and hung up. But I wasn't that person anymore. Send me your resume, I said. Silence on the other end. Just like that? Ryan asked. Just like that. I'll call their HR director tomorrow. Her name is Rebecca. She's fair, but she doesn't put up with games. Be honest with her and you'll have a chance. Jordan, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just do better this time. After I hung up, I sat at my desk and thought about how angry I'd been just a few months ago. Carrying that anger around had felt like dragging heavy weights everywhere I went. Letting it go felt like freedom. Around that same time, I met Samantha Cross. She was Pinnacle's new chief operations officer. Smart, quick, and she didn't take anyone's nonsense. We got assigned to the same project team, which meant lots of meetings and late nights working on strategy. She was different from anyone I'd worked with before. She didn't play games or try to make other people look bad to make herself look good. She just did great work and expected everyone else to do the same. One evening, we were the last ones in the office working on a big presentation. You're new to Boston, right? I asked while we waited for the printer. Moved here 6 months ago, she said. From Philadelphia. Needed a fresh start after my last job. Bad boss, I guessed. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. The worst. He tried to take credit for a whole year of my work. When I called him out on it, he tried to get me fired. What happened? I had emails, documents, everything in writing. She smiled. He ended up quitting instead of facing an investigation. But the whole thing made me want to start over somewhere new. I get that, I said. Something similar happened to me. We started talking more after that. Not just about work, but about real things. Our families, our goals, what we wanted out of life beyond just our careers. 3 months later, I asked her to dinner. Not a work dinner. A real date. She said yes. Tyler met her a few weeks after that and pulled me aside at his apartment. I like her, he said. She's good for you. He was right. Samantha understood what it meant to survive something hard at work and come out stronger. She didn't need me to explain why integrity mattered or why doing the right thing was worth the cost. 1 year after getting fired, I moved into a new apartment. It had big windows, a nice kitchen, and enough space to actually breathe. Tyler helped me move, complaining the whole time about my book collection. "Why do you have so many books about business strategy?" he groaned, carrying another box. "Because I'm a consultant," I laughed. "Get used to it." That night, after everything was unpacked, I stood on my balcony looking out at the harbor. Boats crossed back and forth, their lights reflecting on the dark water. Somewhere out there, Victoria was probably trying to rebuild her life. Ryan was probably at his new job, hopefully learning to be better. The old version of me was gone, replaced by someone who'd learned that doing the right thing might cost you in the short term, but it's worth it in the long run. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus Reed. "Excellent work on the Thompson account. The client specifically asked me to thank you. Keep it up." I smiled and put my phone in my pocket. This was my life now. Not perfect, but honest. Not easy, but earned. Not the path I'd planned, but somehow better than anything I could have imagined back when I was sitting in my old apartment eating cereal for dinner. Samantha came out onto the balcony with 2 glasses of water. "Toast to the new place," she said. "Toast to new beginnings," I said, "and to accidentally sent text messages that turn out to be blessings." She laughed. "Only you would be grateful for getting fired." "I'm not grateful I got fired," I said. "I'm grateful for where it led me." And that was the truth. That middle-of-the-night text message with "look what you missed" had felt like the end of everything. But really, it had been the beginning. The beginning of a life where I didn't have to compromise who I was for a paycheck. Where I worked for people who valued honesty. Where doing the right thing actually led somewhere worth going. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing that could have happened. You just have to survive it first.